Hello everybody, how are you doing? Welcome back to part 3, Excel VBA for Beginners, 30 real world problems and solutions. Let's get straight into our random problem generator today. But if you're watching live, please let me know, can you see me? Can you hear me? I've tried changing some of the settings. Hopefully we don't have that big delay we had last time. Yesterday, we looked at the first, second, nth largest number, the small and large functions in the worksheet in Excel VBA. Daniel in the chat already telling me he's getting value out of these functions. That's great to hear. Without further ado, let's get it started. And the balls are moving. There go the balls. What are we going to be doing today? Oh yes, it's going to be a good session today. We're going to say hello to some people in the chat. Can you let me know if you can see me and hear me? Zana, thank you. You can see me and hear me. That's good to know. And is there a delay on the stream today? Let me know. Here comes the winning ball. What are we doing today? Here comes the ball, and we are going to get the row of a button or shape. Okay. Get the row of a button or shape and use this to change data on this row. This is a good one. Don't worry, that might not make sense yet, but this I've been using on a project just this week. We're going to see how it works. Your customers are going to love this. So before we get into the chat, I'm just going to see if I can get this chat widget going. And our chat widget is going, so you should be able to see people in the chat now. And I'm going to say hello to a few people, as always. So great to have so many people, 36 people with us, 10 likes. Maria is with us. Welcome, Maria. Frank is with us. Ian Lamb. Hello guys, how are you doing? Henrik, welcome Henrik. Andrew Button, another one of our members. Welcome Andrew. Alan is with us. Alan Lawson. Daniel, not from Los Angeles, from just north of Los Angeles, I believe. Welcome Daniel, thank you. Werner is with us. Werner is working along. Fantastic stuff. DC is with us. Welcome DC. Welcome Tim. Welcome Abdul. Welcome Cbro 4_4 Nottingham. Massive. I'm loving it. Welcome Anup. Good to have you with us. Matthias. Ali is with us. Paul Taylor is with us. One of our members. Fantastic. Florin is with us. Welcome Florin. Zana is with us. Another one of our members. Lee Williams is with us. Top of the class from the first 30 for 30 series. Welcome Lee. Klaus is with us. Jasvin is with us. Good to see you, Jasvin. And a few people coming in the bottom here. Ben is with us. Welcome, Ben. Haven't seen you for a while. Dinesh. Richard is with us. Welcome, Richard. Eves, Tiberius, Abhishek. Oh, everybody's with us. 41 people. So thank you so much, guys. It's good to have you with us. And yeah, I hope you're going to find application for what we're doing, particularly our application today. So as always, I'm going to set this up live in the stream. Couple of reasons for that. You know, one reason admittedly is it means I don't have to do any preparation, which I do like. But another reason is, yeah, you get to kind of see me set things up, and hopefully you'll learn something about setting data up, shortcuts, whatever it might be. So let's say viewer 1, let's just have 4 people in this database today. In fact, let's have a few more people. Change my mind here. So I'm going to do my usual setup. So this is what I use where I've got to generate a database. You're going to see in a second. And row -4 is going to give us viewer 1. And then we need an additional space here. So using the row formula there, that's going to give us the number. And let's say, okay, viewer name here. Viewer name, Alt-H-O-H on the Windows PC, row height 45. I always use multiples of 15 for row height. That always keeps things looking consistent. Alt-H-W and Control-B. And let's suppose I'm asking you, I've done a little survey. What were your impressions of Stream 2? There we go. Impressions of Stream 2. And you can say good, bad, average. Very simple. Alt-H-W. And you're going to be goods, viewer 1. So I'm just going to copy paste some goods down here. Control-V, Control-V, Control-V. And then viewer 2. Well, you didn't think it was too good, so we're going to have bad there. Control-V and Control-V. And the others, we're going to have average here. Average, okay. And then Control-D Control C, Control V. What's it like? Does me actually speaking these shortcuts out loud, does it help? Alt HDR to delete the row there. And that's, of course, has messed up our formula because I should have copied the values in here. Let's just autofill down there. Control C, Control V. So make sure you're working along with me. And let's say I'm going to see, is there a correlation between the viewer age and their impressions of their stream yesterday? A bit random. Speaking of randomness, let's have a run between formula here. And you're going to be aged between 80, 18 and 90. If there's any people watching above the age of 90, you are just as welcome as anybody else. I just had to set that parameter somewhere. So we've got the age here, Control C, Control V. Now, what's this mechanism I'm talking about here? So I often set this up where I want the user to be able to quickly change data. Quickly change data without having to, you know, go to sales, scroll along rows, whatever it might be. It's got lots of different applications, this setup. But the way it works is I have a button on each row, and in another stream, we're going to look at how to quickly create these buttons. But I have a button on each row. And then in the text, just right click on the button here. I might have something like view or more or info, something like that. And that's going to allow us to edit what's going on this row. I'm going to just go for info there. So just copy this down a few times. So Control and then Alt. Remember, we're using the Alt key here to get that precise positioning. Also, no, I don't think I mentioned at the time, but when I created the button, I used the Alt key, holding down the Alt key now to make sure the button is precisely positioned there. Okay, so I'm not going to create all these buttons, though I did say on another stream, I know the topic of the stream is how do we create these buttons. So what we want to do is a mechanism to allow the user to edit the data in this row. You're saying, Chris, but there's only 3 columns. Yes, it's only a contrived example. What if you had 20 columns? What if you had 100 columns? The spreadsheet that this is from, which is in commodities trading. So the customer has a row for each of their customers, and then they're sending out prices to their customers for the next 24 months. So there's lots of columns with information on the customer, and then there's 24 months that contain forecasted prices for commodities. I think there's 50 or 60 columns. So can you see how having this kind of mechanism then is going to avoid plenty of scrolling there? So let me know in the chat. Are you following along with me? 44 people and 15 likes. Fantastic stuff. Richard saying, what's the problem for today then? The problem for today is how to do quick data import, or how to quickly adjust data in a database using this button. In fact, I haven't quite got to the problem yet, but bear with me just a couple of minutes. We will get there. DC says shortcut keys are one of my weaknesses. Interesting, DC. Yes, shortcuts deliver disproportionate value in the sense that they make you look good. I remember right at the beginning of my career, I had a meeting with an Excel VBA expert. I don't think he was even an expert, but he was just using all the keyboard shortcuts. And I was like, wow, this guy must be amazing at Excel. So if you just want to look good at Excel, learn a few shortcuts there. Ben with a good tip here. You can press and hold Control and Alt and just drag the shape down to the position you want while simultaneously snapping to the grid. That's holding down the Control and Alt keys at the same time. Nice one, Ben. So we want to be able to click this button. Some code is going to run. So let's get the Excel VBA editor open here. Is here. Tim saying the stream has gone. Yeah, I am getting a message here saying the stream is slow. So you're going to have to go ahead and just refresh the stream, please. I'm getting a message now saying the stream is coming back. So just go ahead and refresh, as Lee is saying in the chat. Okay, so let's say get button row here. So the basic idea is, yeah, we want to be able to click on this button and edit something in this row. That sounds pretty cool, but there's some steps to go through. And as always, we've got to be clear conceptually. What are those steps we're going to have to go through? Well, clearly one step is, what row is this button on? That's a critical piece of information. What row is this button on? If we can establish that, then we can go ahead and maybe edit that row. So as always, let's find those intermediary steps. What's the critically difficult thing that we're going to have to do in order to get this done? Any ideas in the chat, guys? Looks like we're back online, so thank you for sticking with us. Just lost about half our viewers, but that's live. That's live TV. So just refresh the stream. How would we get started for this? Has anybody got any ideas in the chat? There's one specific nice golden nugget. Is that the right phrase? A golden ticket or a chicken nugget of code, a nice little construct that you're going to love if you haven't seen it already. Any ideas what it is? Okay, we're going to try now application.caller. Now, have you ever seen this? Application.caller. I'm also going to go ahead and allocate this macro we've created, get button row. I'm going to allocate this macro to these 4 buttons. That sounds like a very labor intensive job. Clicking through 4 buttons. Click the button, right click, assign macro, click the button, right click, assign macro. Shouldn't need to do that. Try this. Alt-H-F-D-O. Alt-H-F-D-O is going to put us in select objects mode. And let me just get in the whole screen to show you how to do this. If you go to home and then over on this side, so find and select, then we want to hit select objects. Select objects. Now this is going to put Excel into a bit of a strange mode. I call it PowerPoint mode because it means we can click and hold and Excel is going to select the objects that we click and hold. So it is slightly weird behavior. It won't quite feel like Excel is handling right when we're in this mode. But let's give it a go. Click and hold and just drag around the buttons here and suddenly all 4 buttons selected. This is why I love select objects mode in Excel. So now we can right click. If we assign a macro, if I'm not mistaken, right click, assign macro as usual, get button row. Okay. So this macro should now be assigned to 4 buttons. Now what you got to remember to do, because we're in select objects mode, PowerPoint mode, I call it, hit the escape key. Hit the escape key. You can see the pointer has gone back to what it is normally. Now you're going to have normal behavior in Excel. Alt-H-F-D-O is going to allow you to select objects. I love this shortcut. It saved me so much time, particularly when you're working with multiple charts. I find being able to quickly select them, move them around, do whatever you need to do. So now if we got this right, we're clicking on the buttons. Whoa, what's this all about? We're just getting button 3, button 2, and button 1 popping up here. So anybody in the chat, can anybody in the chat tell me what is happening here? Lee says, yeah, never used this before, but looking forward to seeing the power of this. I can see how it will be good in my football databases. Absolutely. I don't think I've used this one in football yet, as far as I know. But yeah, any database type situation, this is going to help. But what's going on with this macro? Can anybody see what's happening? I'm clicking on it and we're just getting button 1 up there. Henrik, the button can update the database. So that's the idea. We're not going to go through the whole process in this stream, but I'm going to give you the basic mechanics here. What do you think about our chat box? Yeah, pretty cool. Abdul says this is new for me. That's all good, guys. That is good stuff. That means you're going to get value out of the stream. What's happening is this application.caller construct. This is going to tell us what's going on here. What is going on here? Some strange behavior. Application.caller is going to tell us the object that called the macro. How cool is that? Application.caller. The object in the spreadsheet that called the macro. That means it's usually a button, because usually we call macros and buttons, but not all the time. Particularly if you call a macro from another macro. We did that in the previous 30 for 30 Absolute Beginner series, if you call a macro from another macro, then the application.caller, the macro that called this macro, is going to be that previous macro, if that makes sense. But most of the time, it's usually a button. So what we're getting here is we're getting the button name. Button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. Let's go for another kind of general Excel management tip. Quickly see the objects on a sheet, page layout, and then we're going to go to selection pane, page layout, selection pane. We can quickly see the objects on the sheet. So if you've got charts on the sheet, shapes on the sheet, they're going to appear here. You can even edit the names here as well. So really helpful feature, but we can quickly see the names there. But we can kind of prove this by going into the VBA editor. Has anybody tried running this from the VBA editor? What happens? It's going to result in an error. So why is that type mismatch? That's because we haven't called the macro with anything. We called it directly from the VBA editor. Excel is telling us, well, I can't see what called this macro. That's because we went in the VBA editor and did it ourselves. So if you run this from the VBA editor, you will get an error. If we run it from the spreadsheet, then we get the name of the object that called the macro. Hope that's clear. I hope that's clear. I've been watching a lot of my streams back, trying to get better. Is it too fast? Is it too slow? I'm trying to pace it right. So if we've got the name of the button that called the macro, can we then take the next step? We're just taking some intermediary steps, step by step, always steady and systematic. Can we take the next step and find the position on the spreadsheet of that button? How about that? There's a challenge. But what have we got already? Let's look at what we've already got. We've already got the name of a button. So could we use that? Could we combine that with some other syntax? I think it's going to have to be buttons, although it might be shapes. Application.caller. Okay, is this going to work? I've got a feeling it's a bit messier than this, but let's see if this does work. Can anybody see what's going to happen here? What's this dot top syntax? Let's just demonstrate this quickly. And let's say, we might need to say active sheet. Let's just see. Buttons, button 1 dot top. Okay, what happens when this macro runs? I'm going to exit the sub here. This should be a helpful intermediary concept for you to build understanding here. Okay, do we need active sheet? Specify active sheet dot buttons. Okay, what happens now? Okay, let's just comment out this line of code. Reset and play. Okay, 73.5 here. So this dot top property is the vertical positioning of the button on the spreadsheet. Pretty cool. So that's one property we could use. What other properties have we got? We've got the left property as well. Let's try that. So it's now 50.25. If I put this button further over, again, going to use the Alt key for precision. Putting this button further over, what's going to happen now? We're going to get a bigger number because the further we go that way across the spreadsheet, the higher that number is going to get. That's how Excel works, of course. So we've got dot left and dot top. How about this? Is this going to work? I think we might need a little more. Is this going to work? But can you see how this is coming together? If we can get the row of the button, that gives us the row that the data is in. We could then perform some kind of edit. How cool would that be? Let's see if this works. I've got a feeling we need something else. Okay. Yeah, we need this additional method, I think this is, or a property. Top left cell dot row. Is this going to do it? Having a look, I think it looks okay. And there it is. We've got a number 4 there. So using Excel VBA, we can tell the position of the button if we want to use the dot top and the dot left properties, but even more useful, we can tell the row that the button is on. let's prove this. So if we run it from this macro, we've got number 4. If we run it from this macro, from this button, sorry, also got number 4. That should be number, yeah, okay. There's an additional step here. In fact, before I do the additional step, if you're enjoying this kind of stuff, hope you are, then you're going to love Members Monday. And I'm just going to go ahead and just show you a little bit of a video from Members Monday. So I'm not going to play the audio from this video, but this just gives you a sense of what Members Monday is like. We're working on Excel problems, you know, a bit like we're doing today, but it's really more comprehensive than what we're doing today. We look at real world problems. This is a real world problem from one of our members, Bart here. We have people calling into the streams. That's a new development, so we can actually talk about it. We have the chat box on the right as well. We can see Paul Taylor here. Paul is in the chat today. Jasmine is in the chat today. So it just gives you a sense of the interactivity and really the comprehensive nature, I would say, of Members Monday. Yeah, it's not just more videos. It really is a little community. So if you really want to push forward your Excel VBA in the second half of 2020, go ahead, click join below this video. £13 a month. I mean, I think that's money well spent, but I am biased. I know we've got some members in the chat, so go ahead and give your opinions, guys. Give your opinions of Members Monday. Good. So Lee says, oh, that solves my problem. Good stuff. I'm just withholding like the magic bits, the real magic, but Lee says, oh, that solves my problem when I've copied boxes over for macros, can edit the names now. Good stuff. Okay, Abdul says the pace is just fine. Good stuff. Stephanie is with us. Welcome, Stephanie. I know you did the first 30 for 30 series. Good to have you with us. So back into the code. So at the moment, we're saying to Excel, show us the properties, the row of button 1. So can anybody see how this is going to come together? Combining together some of the previous things we've looked at in the stream, we can now say active sheet.buttons application caller, the button that called the macro, give me the row of that macro. Pretty cool. This means that we can have the same macro attached to each button, use the same macro. It's going to work for each button. We don't want to have 4, 8, 14 different macros. That's not the way to do it. Not the way to do it. A single dynamic macro is the way to do this. Let me say something about this code quickly. This to me is complicated code. Okay. I can't just rock up on a Monday into my office, look at a client spreadsheet and start just writing code like that. I build it up step by step. That's what we do in Members Monday. We build it up step by step. That's what I do on these streams. We build it up step by step. So don't be discouraged looking at that. Go back through the stream. You'll see I've built it up step by step and I've made 2 or 3 mistakes on the way through. It's all doable, guys, if you can bring the right attitude to the table. Right, so what's happening now? Is this where the magic happens? Okay, we've got 4 here. That's correct. So now we're looking for 5. That's correct. Good stuff. Now we're looking for 6. And that's correct. Good stuff. And now we're looking for 7. Good stuff. Okay. How could we finish this off? Let's go for something. It's always a bit contrived in these streams. You know, I totally acknowledge that. You probably wouldn't want to do this in real life. But let's suppose we wanted a button to increase the age by 1. Increase the age by 1. Let's say it's been, the viewer's birthday has come. And let's just have a +1 button here. But this is actually... I'm going to use the select objects function again, Alt-H-F-D-O. I'm just going to delete these 3 buttons here. This is actually how I've used this code previously. I've used it in education contexts where this button really doesn't want to go. Right click. Use this in education context where a teacher wants to be able to quickly click a button in a lesson to change a column. For example, if a student's done something good in a lesson, this was the actual nemesis, this was the actual origin story, if you like, of this technique. A teacher wants to be able to quickly add a value to a cell, but not have to go into the cell and click around and edit it, just with a single button click. this is how we can do it if we can establish the button row. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try Ben's tip. So Control and Alt here, holding down Control and Alt, just pushing these buttons down. And don't worry, another topic we're covering in this series is how to create these buttons at the click of a button. So we want a +1 to the age. So let's go back into the code now, just clean out what we've been doing, our kind of practice code. And let's allocate the row to a variable. And I'm going to say, well, what variable do you think is appropriate? Well, I think we can assume there's under 34,000, is it? So an integer variable should do it. It's going to be a whole number because we're talking about a row. Then we say active row equals. Okay, so what we were previously displaying in the message box, we're now allocating to a variable. And let's just prove that we've got the value into the variable there. So +1, yep, I've got a 4 here. And +1, yeah, I've got a 5 here. Good stuff. Jasmine says the stubborn button. Yes, sometimes those buttons are stubborn. Ali, I'm just seeing Ali has joined us on Members Monday. Big shout out to Ali. Fantastic to have you with us. Look forward to meeting you on Members Monday, Ali, and learning more about how you are using Excel. Good. Okay, so this seems to be working well. Yeah, we've got number 7 here. Okay, so if you're watching on replay, you've got all the tools, all the ingredients now. You've got to put them in a pan and create something that tastes nice in Excel. Mixing the metaphors there. See if you can get the job done from this. Various ways to get the job done now. Remember, we want to increase the value in this column by 1. How could we do it? I'm going to use dot cells here. So let's briefly revise cells actually at the top here. So cells is a super useful referencing technique. So if you say cells 11 equals cells 11 plus 1, what's going to happen? Can anybody tell me in the chat what's going to happen here? Ben said, good question here from Ben. So Ben says, do you have a preference for rectangular shapes in the context of this? I'd have preference for what's easiest for the user. Yeah. And I think these rectangular shapes, to me, they seem clickable. You know, well, they're not shapes, are they? They're buttons. I should say buttons rather. I almost always run macros from buttons because I think these look like buttons. You know, you can run a macro from a shape, but when you have a shape in a spreadsheet, a shape doesn't say to me, click me. A shape just says to me, I kind of look nice. Whereas a button says to me, you know, this looks like a button on your keyboard. This button here. And let me go back to the spreadsheet. This button here looks like a button on the keyboard. That's why I always use buttons, although you can use any range of icons and shapes. So that's my personal preference, Ben. Good stuff. And Paul is welcoming Ali to Members Monday. That's really good. Yeah, we've got really good membership, and definitely welcome Ali into the membership, please, in the chat. So that's my preference when we're talking about shapes versus buttons, Ben. So good question there. I'm just going to exit the sub here just to give you this demonstration of the cells, this nice little cells technique. I'm going to F5 this, and we can see in the top left corner there, you can see we're just increasing the value by 1. So this dot cells, we're not using dot today. Cells just allows us to reference a cell by using numbers. The first number is the number of rows down. Is something clicking in your head now? And the second number is the number of columns across. So the second number, well, that's column E. I know that's the 4th letter in the alphabet. Is it? Or is it the 6th? If you don't know, use the column formula, and that's going to tell you the column number. So the second part is going to be 5. Okay, and then it's one of our foundational concepts, x equals x plus 1. Okay, so this is going to increment up by 1. Who can take us home here? Who can finish this off for me? Zana's also looking forward to Members Monday. Fantastic stuff. Who can finish this off for us? I remember when I used to play basketball, believe it or not, at university. And at the end of the session, the coach used to say, right, we need one person to step up, shoot a free throw. And if he hits the free throw, everybody can go. If he doesn't hit the free throw, then everybody's got to run. And sometimes we'll be running 6 or 7 times until somebody. So who can take us home with a really good contribution here? What change do we need to this syntax to get everything working? And Matthias, we're not running, guys. We don't need to run anywhere because Matthias has brought home the bacon for us here. So this syntax here, we have the variable. You can see it repeated, the variable we're using to control the row position. Beautiful dynamic mechanism, a positioner, cells or offset combined with a variable. How many times have we seen that on Members Monday? How many times have we seen that in 30 for 30 in Excel generally? So the name of my variable is active row. And there we go. Okay, so this means we should be good to go here. Let's give it a go. So we're expecting the age to increment up by 1. Okay, hasn't quite happened. So let's see what's going on here. Active row 5 plus 1. Okay. Active goes in as the second parameter. It should be, no, it's rows first, isn't it? Okay, let's step through this. I'm going to put a stopping point in here. Okay, a bit of debugging at the end of the stream. Zoom out here. Okay, so I've put a stopping point in here. This is going to stop the code. Okay, and we can see what's going on here. What is going on here? Got to work our way out of this one. Let's see. I think it's because, is it because we don't have a macro assigned? Is that it? No. The macro's there. Okay. Okay, let's stop this. Put the stopping point in. It's because I've left exit sub at the top there. Okay, schoolboy error. There we go. You'll see plenty of those on Members Monday too. So we had exit sub at the top, so it was just leaving the routine. Yeah, it didn't tell us, but we didn't ask it to tell us, did we? So that's definitely my bad there. Right, let's give this a go. Okay, now we've got 89, and now we can see 46, 47. Let's zoom in to show you this in all its glory. How cool is that? So my extension here is extension built-in additional button to increment down, or to decrement to increment down. How about that? I love this mechanism. You know, just looking at that, you'll think, oh, you must have 4 different macros. You know, even a good VBA programmer would say that must be 4 different macros, but it's not, because we've got our dynamic quality here, and it really is. Application.caller really is providing the magic here. And let me repeat one more time. You might be saying to me, but Chris, I don't want to have to create 14 buttons. Even creating 14 buttons would be annoying. Yeah. In another stream in Excel VBA for Beginners 30 for 30 real world problems and solutions, we're going to cover how to create those buttons at the click of a button. So these two techniques are going to dovetail together nicely. So make sure you have a go at the extension there. Yeah, good question here from Tim and DC. Thank you. You guys always a step ahead of me, pointing it out. Yeah, and Guillaume as well. Delete exit sub there. Good stuff. And Ian, good question from Ian. So Ian's saying, do we not need dot value? Well, dot value is the default property of the cell object. So it's going to take the value by default. But yeah, we could say for completeness, you could put dot value in there. In fact, Ian has inspired me to do my job properly and actually write this code as completely as we can. So we put dot value in here. Then I'm going to use an underscore to put it onto a new line, and dot value here. Okay, and are we still in business? Yes, we're still in business here. So good stuff from Ian there. Let's do it as completely as possible. Yeah, good point from Paul here. Paul said I would use a spin button in this situation. I love the idea. The problem I have with spin buttons is they're kind of up and down. Can we quickly insert a spin button here? Yeah, so this is a spin button. No, that's a scroll control. Let's see if I can quickly find one. If I can't, is that a spin button? I think that's a spin button there. I do like spin buttons, but the problem with spin buttons is if you want to use them for a row, then it's going to be really small. That to me is probably too small. Yeah. Although some people might be able to work with it. I'm not sure. It depends what zoom level you're working on as well. For me, I'd rather have two buttons side by side. One to go up, one to go down. But yeah, I could see why you would use a spin button. I'd also say with these buttons, the code is slightly simpler rather than trying to create code for spin buttons. Good. Henrik said this stream did present something new for me. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Henrik. Thank you, everybody else, for watching. And the idea of this series is to lift up your VBA, elevate it. And so you're in a situation where you don't just know a few concepts, you're actually applying those concepts to real world problems. All of these techniques are taken directly from my work in the past 18 months to 2 years. I hope they're going to continue to help you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you same time, same place tomorrow. Take care.